Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Club Baroness podcast. We'll be covering round 5 and round 4 of the 2020 draft tournament and making some predictions for round 6, the final round, before the final captain's round. So let's go ahead and introduce our cast for the night. We've got TripleL,
Hello.
Snow Schmidt,
Howdy.
Sardonic Jester, who is dead.
Can't
It's
hear me?
Orange
Hello.
Baby,
Also known as the original King of Phantom Dust. Hey,
recently dethroned, all hail laughing. We also have Alice,
Hello, everyone.
and it is my personal displeasure to introduce some poor choices.
I'm sorry, was that the introduction we're going with?
I thought you were going to do your limerick or whatever. I let you go last.
I don't do my own limericks, Bregan. I have people.
I have to say
I
it.
have people
I have to
for
read it?
limericks. No,
The
that's
man
okay. The
and
moment
myth,
has passed.
His choices many and poor. SPC Pun King.
Oh yes, great to be here. Thank you, Bregan.
Oh, you hurt me. You really do. Okay, so we'll jump in. Most of you have selected matches that you want to talk about, so we'll start with round 4, and then we'll move into round 5. After which, we'll do like we did last time with round 6. Each person will get to give their breakdown on one of the matches that they want to make a prediction on, and everybody else will just vote who they think wins afterwards. Does everybody remember how that works? I'll take that as a yes from all of your 7 people silence. Okay. Let's see. The first one on the list we had was actually my match with Shadow Shield versus PDDCM and Guinan. Jester, go ahead and take it.
So these all happened a couple of weeks ago, so I'm going to try and remember the details as much as I can. Obviously, helped out Bregan and Shadow Shield by being a punching bag for them, acting as a cartwheeler to try and help them get their arsenals ready for this. And yeah, the Frighten Dance of Death, Frighten Psycho Burst combo is obviously just absolutely terrible. It is brutal against cartwheelers, and PD and Guinan found out about that. Any match that Bregan and Shadow won was pretty much overwhelming. Just absolutely just punching them in the face, taking them down. Ones that you guys lost just seemed unfortunate. Some of the draws were awful. The draw on lane was awful. I know you've talked about it terribly.
Just don't talk about it. I'm going to have to ring up my therapist.
Exactly. Other than that, it was a good match. I think that combo really worked really well against them. Obviously, both teams are really stacked. This is definitely one of the higher tier matches that we had, and it was definitely fun to watch. Always fun seeing Shadow Shield throwing out the Shadow Shield things and just completely knocking people down.
Who else wants to chime in on that one?
I mean, I disagree. But I'm very biased. I didn't like seeing Shadow Shield throw things down. I wanted them to lose for very personal reasons. Since no one had anything else to add.
All right, we're getting crickets on that one, so we'll move on. Another really fun one was Murder Mastodon and Some Poor Choices taking on Ebony and Math in what ended up being pretty one-sided. You have this one selected, Triple.
Yeah, so this match was surprising for me, to say the least. I thought that Ebony and Math would have fared much better against Murder and SPC. I thought that Ebony and Math would have a good synergy between their play styles, but instead, just the entire series, it felt like they never really meshed, and they were kind of constantly at odds with each other. They sort of just ran around for all 3 matches, getting hit in the face by vibration blasters and reincarnations, to not much avail. and it was a bit of an upset in my mind, but ultimately it ended very convincingly in favor of Murder and SBC. I'm not sure what else to add to the match, considering that it was pretty much a beatdown. I mean, Ebony and Math still put their hits on Murder and SBC, but there really wasn't much of a contest. It was just a nasty pickup after nasty pickup for Team Ska, and Murder and SBC never really went down in the 3 games.
Yeah, they looked really disjointed there, I think. They just didn't seem to have the same game plan going in, where Math was just going in and Ebony either wasn't ready or wasn't there to support. And they just didn't seem to be on the same page, I think, was the biggest factor there. What did everybody else think?
Completely agree. Ebony and Math are two of my absolute top players in my mind. I think they're awesome, but together they just didn't have the synergy. Everybody knows how Ebony plays, and I think everybody pretty much knows how Math plays. They have very distinctive play styles, and in concept, they seemed like they would have meshed awesome, but it just didn't end up working out.
Yeah, I'd say that they are both pretty distinct and less flexible play styles than you see out of some other players. And you would have thought that it might have meshed, but it really did not, at least in that series. Anybody else? All right, moving on. We had Evolution and Low Carbon versus Nathan and the debut of, or no, that's not his first debut. He came in round 3. But also with Blazion. Blazy? I don't know. I don't like saying Blazy. He's Blazy. I don't like saying Blazion. Go ahead and take that one, Schmidt.
So this one was an interesting one. There was a lot of hype surrounding it. I know that on our side, Evo and Carbon were really excited to play the match, and I can suspect Nathan and Blazy were too. And leading into it, I thought it was going to be a 3-2 on either team. I mean, it was a coin flip in my mind, a 3-2. And once the match started, it just kind of seemed like Evo seemed a little off from his usual self. I mean, Evo's a really solid player, but in those matches, I mean, he seemed to fall short of what I would have at least expected. I don't know about everybody else, but he seemed to play a little under his typical standard, and I feel like that really hurt him. And I mean, it was the same on all 3 maps. It was a dogfight the entire time, but in the end, I think Nathan and Blazy just had a lot more focus and a lot more synergy going into it, and being able to lay down pressure on Evo and trying to make Carbon make the pickups.
Who else wants to talk about that one?
I'll weigh in on that one. Yeah, I think, and I know it was uploaded a little early at once with the game audio. Definitely, there just was a lot of miscommunication. In warm-ups and in early play, I think these two teams were incredibly level, and where it started separating is a definite tilt started to happen. And I think Evo is much better than he ended up playing, but I think some of the problems were just disconnects. So Evo clearly wanted Carbon to have a little bit more agency and start making some of these plays and some of these calls. And I think Carbon was trying to give him a little bit of captain deference and wanted there to be play calls. And then the couple times where Evo does, make the call like, hey, you need to be doing this. By that point, it was so disjointed that I think it caused panic. And I think the most indicative moment of that whole thing is Evo and Carbon are winning. They're on Panorama. They've got a player dead, and Evo just yells like, attack, attack, attack. And she throws a photon burst and hits Evo. Like, yes, if they had just calmed down, taken a deep breath, and maybe tried to get off tilt, I think they had the talent. But this is one where the synergy just didn't work out. I don't want to blame either player. It just happens like that sometimes. And I think they both got a little overwhelmed by the situation. And what was, generally what we've seen from them all tournament was a pretty good showing. But, credit for Nathan. He definitely took the hard carry, and he showed that he may be old, but he's not dead yet. At least not till this week.
Man, I feel like I need to take the exact opposite stance on that. So I think this was a
Tell
really
'em
good
how it
setup.
is.
You had Evo and Nathan. Both of them are definitely veteran, good players. With newer players, Carbon and Blazy. I think Carbon getting more playtime than Blazy's been getting it lately. I know Blazy's really big on the battle royale side as well. I think it really came down to how they were, I guess, managing their teammates. Like little Carbon was getting just micromanaged the whole entire time, and like that obviously sent them into a tilt as well. And it's hard for newer people to play. Like I get that trying to teach them and get them to do what you want them to do, but you got to let them just play as well. If you're just giving out the command, like barky commands like that, that's what ends up happening. That's why Nathan is like the exact opposite of that. I know Blazy was pretty much free to do what you needed to do. Here's what we wanted to go in and try to do, and just kind of kept trying to point him in that direction, but still letting him just play how he plays. I think that just gave them better synergy between the two of them as well. And just to the first comment from Schmidt that Team Murder was excited for that one. Team Ska was absolutely excited for that match as well. I definitely don't think we thought it was going to a 3-2 in any way. I think Team Ska was pretty unanimous on it being a 3-0 for us, but just saying.
Well,
Somebody else had something they wanted to add? I heard somebody say something.
I mean, it was going to be me rebutting that he didn't really disagree, except for he said that there were, Ava did micromanage. I think he jumped in and yelled and said those things. I don't think he was doing that the entire time. But that's just a matter of degree and speculation. But I'll disagree with him on another thing down the road. That's fine.
Take the gloves off. Go at it. Throw down. I want to see some ugly crying.
Well, I'm going to say if they called that as a 3-0 ahead of time and they thought that was a solid 3-0, then Team Ska's got some divorce from seeing people's actual play style. Especially seeing how Nathan was doing earlier in the tournament. To say that Evo could take both of them, most nights in a 2v1 situation, I don't think that's crazy.
Wow.
It wasn't 2v1. It's just this is one where adding them together detracted, I think, from both players. I've seen Carbon play much better than that too. But I don't know. Gloves are off. That's my take.
And I don't even have a rebuttal for that because that's just so out there.
Out there than a 3-0? I don't think so.
Oh man, there's no way Evo would take Nathan and Blazy in a 2v1 situation just even on a good night. Like that I just think that's putting Nathan way beneath what his
Round 6
play level
grudge
is,
match,
and Blazy's
anyone?
not bad as well. Yeah,
Sure sounds
seriously.
like it.
Let's see Evo win the 2v1 now. Look what you've done, choices.
Mm.
Round 6 grudge
Signed him up
match,
for it
Evo
now.
versus Nathan and Blazy 2v1.
I'm sure if they played 5, he'd win too.
All right, before things get a little too rough, we'll go ahead and just move on. We had Game God and Orange Baby versus Alice and Killermark. Triple wanted to hit this one.
So I was surprised by the entire series, really. Going into it, I wasn't. I've been really impressed with Killermark's, both Killermark's, Odin's, and Ailes's performance in this tournament recently. I think they've been playing way better than their standard pickup games. And this was sort of the match where it really cemented the concrete improvement that Ailes and Killermark have had from my prior experiences playing against them. And at the start of the series in Palace, Ailes and Killermark just ran away with it and just took the momentum and in the early game and then kept running with it. And Game God and Orange never really were able to catch up. And it looked like they were about to do the exact same thing on City with, I believe, Mark throwing nonstop Venom Fangs on Orange, and him not really being able to dodge those because he didn't have a shield at time. And surprisingly, in a contrast to the first game, Ailes and Mark sort of let the momentum go, and Orange and Game God were able to swing the match on City, which was a bit of a surprise as well. And then the two matches on Highway and then Lane, respectively, were both really close, but in Lane specifically, Game God died in the jump lift towards the end, and that sealed the deal. And then in Highway, there was just a series of advantageous trades with some mist blasters, I think, that resulted in Ailes and Mark taking those two games, and thusly the series. And I think it goes to show that the ability of certain pairings to take and control the momentum of the game is really important, especially in tournament matches, because if you're already up in the points in a series, and if you're able to then keep that momentum and carry it into the other games, and then take a small advantage and just grow that lead, that's most important part of tournament play, I think. And I think it was a good showing in the first game, a little less in the second, and decent showings in the third and fourth of that principle.
Who else wants to talk about that one? Anybody else got anything they want to add?
Always. No, I think that was a good one, and I agree with most of what's been said. Out of Orange Baby and Killer Mark especially, I think we've seen a big improvement in their play and just the level they're bringing. I know we all like to rip into Orange for bringing 96 environmentals, but Orange actually paired some decent decks. I would like to see a few more shields if he's dependent on playing a roller. I think we did see him get punished on a lot of his roles, but his positioning was good. His team play was good.
Is this the match that I've forced from my memory because I said I wasn't proud of anyone?
Yes, this is the one I won't even talk about.
But I mean, from what we saw and what we had seen from them prior, I don't think that this match is completely indicative of how they're playing, and I don't think they did as poorly as we're criticizing them for a couple of those plays. So I just wanted to give Orange and Killer
their
a shout out.
technical play wasn't bad from anybody, I don't think. They were all okay. It was the arsenals and planning that I really took issue with for most of it.
Yeah.
There were some very questionable decisions there.
Yeah. I will say it wasn't 3 environmentals. And I'm fine with that. But Orange is still Orange.
And I'm also going to glare at Ailes and his free shot arsenal on on Palace.
Yeah, I feel like I let that one slip under the radar and I shouldn't have. Orange, defend yourself.
Maybe you were just being
I'm going to
nice.
allow you to defend yourself. I don't often allow people to defend themselves, but go ahead.
Next match.
You're saying you want to go on to the next one?
Yep, on to the next one. No, God.
Doesn't even want it. Oh, well, the next one
Put it in his
is...
path.
He just wants to talk about... Oh, that's still one more away. All right, we had PDDCM and Snow Schmidt versus Ebony and Nathan. Go ahead, choices.
Okay. So in this one, there was a lot to unpack here on paper. This is a very, very good matchup. I don't think anyone's going to argue with me that PD is the powerhouse of that matchup. But then maybe you've got the two higher middles on Team Ska's side. And this is one that I wanted to talk about specifically just to unpack, I think, the way this could have gone. I think it was very...
unpack your week 5 trauma.
Yeah. Am I a murder apologist? Maybe. But I'm also correct. So this is one where we've seen great play out of Schmidt in the past. I mean, you can go through and you can watch his videos, and everything's going to be magnified because he is the recorder. So every little mistake that he makes, you can sort of see and unpack exactly what's happening right as it happens. So this is one where I think what really gets away is just the aggression. So I think Schmidt defaults to defense, and you see multiple times where he has a Rian or he has a Gehenna, and he just doesn't throw an attack. So I watched this one live. I know we we texted in the chat, just throw your attacks. He had good angles. His timing was there. I think his defense goes up with a good offense. I think their pressure, everything shifts with just a bit more of an aggressive aggro. That being said, I don't think there was anything particularly poor or lacking. There was communication. They did have some good angles. They had, their decks weren't crippled. They didn't run into, crazy amounts of jank they couldn't get over. They just mechanically were not matching the tempo, and they just suffered death by 1,000 cuts, resulting in that 3-0. And I don't think it shows where their play levels are. I just thought the other team showed up ready to go and did well. And, PD and Schmidt, showed up, took some licks, and just never really got firing on all cylinders that we know they're able to fire on.
Who else wants to talk about that one?
Faces is always so nice. He says such nice things about everybody.
Except for Nathan, apparently.
Oh, you were nice about it there.
There.
You were nice about how many Rians Nathan ate over and over.
Yeah, all uncontested from PD.
Yeah, I'll chime in a little on this one. I felt like PD and Schmidt played a little scared, and they just didn't seem to get quite on the same page. I think that was a bit of a deal breaker there. They didn't seem to be in tempo a lot of the time, and Ebony was able to get away with quite a bit because of it, it felt like. All right, I guess nobody else has anything there unless Schmidt wants to try and defend himself.
No, there's no defense. I mean, everything that has been said is completely correct.
All right, we'll hit my next match then, which was Orange Baby and Murder versus myself, and I can't even. I can't even. You turned me into a 14-year-old white girl.
Bad baby Bregan?
Whoever has this, just talk about it. Alice, this is yours.
I don't remember that one, but I'm gonna guess that was the typical Bregan match in this tournament. That he wins 2 games and then he loses all 3 in a row.
I love that. That's
Ouch.
what a typical Bregan
Hey, your teammate?
All right, no more Team Scott people on the podcast.
What's that, Bregan? You are hosting the podcast? Kick people
Wow.
at will? Oh, interesting.
Thanks, teammate Alice DeVron. We didn't win the first 2. It was actually, I think, almost a reverse sweep from us. I don't remember. I know we lost the first game because we tried to use Frighten, and they were clearly ready for it. And then I think we won the next 2 and then lost 4 and 5. That or we won 2 and 4. I forget exactly which ones.
That seems about right. I think you took 2 in a row.
I feel like if we had just played Palace Standard, I didn't feel like we were that pressured. If we just played it Standard, I think we could have won Palace and maybe had the series.
I would agree with
Frighten
that.
was 110% the wrong call there.
You brought the jank. I think it was an interesting idea, but you actually brought it, I think, 2 or 3 times, and it got progressively less effective every time you brought it.
Well, that was against Guinan and PD, and we had horrible draws, which are really what lost it there. The problem was when I tried to run it with Affin, We only had like 10 minutes to practice it before the match because we had such a tight time frame, and he just really couldn't time it. Like it
You
wasn't
could
consistent, and we shouldn't have run it.
See, but yeah,
you,
here's the thing. So it didn't work in the round 4, and you thought, you know what?
It
We
worked
practiced it.
beautifully in
We
round
planned
4.
it.
It worked beautifully in round 4. You shut your
Not on
straight mouth.
refinery. That's what got you killed on refinery.
We got killed on refinery because he
Wow.
used to speed up and got armor roast.
No, your memory needs some refining.
Wow. Sounds like a grudge match to me.
Yeah.
I will
Sorry,
wreck
he
you
used-
6 ways to Sunday with that if you need to.
He used frighten on himself in this conversation.
I will wreck you 6 ways to Sunday with that any day you want.
I'm just challenging people on behalf of other people.
That
Well,
stuff,
Geigen will
was
kick
working.
your ass.
If we had it for even 30 seconds on lane, we still almost won it before they popped us out.
Okay, it didn't do poorly on Palace.
It worked fine on Palace, and it would have won lane if I had drawn one before my last 6 capsules.
I mean, you live in your hypothetical world.
There are 3 of them. 3 of them. It would have won lane.
I won't contest lane, and I think it did help on Palace. I'm pretty sure it lost you refinery.
Refinery may have been us screwing up, but it would have won lane 110%. We hadn't even gotten close to a loss on lane without a draw like that.
Okay, so 1, 1, and 1 is where that skill.
All right, so
Point was I shouldn't have
hear
used it
some
with
poor
Alpha
choices
in this
with
one.
his choice of teammate versus Bregan and Shadow and Bregan will bring the Frighten dance combo. There you go.
All right,
Good to go. Schedule it for week 7.
I'm down.
All right, next one is Jay and Tide versus Jester and Bigfoot. Schmidt had this one.
So this one was a brawl, especially on Palace, which ended up being the draw. I mean, it was just a fight, basically start to finish. And I think what really finished the game, especially the last match, was on Pano, and it looked like Ska's team had the momentum and the pressure throughout the entire match. But then at the very end, it just kind of flipped. Jester went down and at the bottom of one of the stairs, and Bigfoot had a lot of pressure to try and push through to get the pickup. And Ricochet Laser prevails as Ricochet Laser does. And I think it came from a little bit of the inexperience and just I don't want to say lack of practice, but the just lack of experience of trying to get those harder pickups, especially under the pressure of a Willow on one side and a Ricochet Laser on the other side, just beating you down, especially as a jumper. But Jay and Ty, they brought a bunch of pressure down, and they just kind of ran rampant throughout the entire series, and ultimately just beat them down.
Anybody else want to chime in on that match?
Nope, Jay can do whatever he wants. That's why they call it jaywalking.
I shouldn't have laughed at that.
And that's okay. Don't cross him.
All right, next match. We had Algol and Brawley versus Mr. Math and Snowrise, the fall of our greatest player.
So this is something where the murder apologism is just going to continue. Team Murder on this one. This is a very good matchup on paper.
Are you bringing the Chewbacca
Brawley-
defense? Because you got the accent for it.
You never discount the Chewbacca defense. I mean, I can't remember the specifics of the Chewbacca defense, but something about Wookiees and Endor. On paper, again, this is one where you've seen Brawley destroy. He was at the top of the entire list, and it's just one where it's just not there. I don't know if players were feeling sick and I don't want to take away from Team Ska.
Dear
I think
Lord, you are breaking out the excuses, aren't you?
I think they played quite well. But Brawley and Algol, I think you see the division on one of the deaths where he can't find Brawley. Brawley, not of course, not always having a mic or access to Discord, definitely hurt. I
Did
mean,
he
this
have
is
to
a
wear his teammates' shoes that were the wrong size?
he might he might have had to go. This was a Game 7 situation. Played with 104-degree fever. He had to borrow somebody's shoes. Somebody had kidnapped his kid brother. I mean, there
Rumors
was
of him
a
vomiting
bunch
in the
of
locker
things.
room before the game.
Of course.
Oh
He
yeah,
also
don't
had
don't
bad
forget he's a
safety.
controller player who had to play on PC with mouse and keyboard.
His controller had Doritos in it. I mean, so many things were going on. What I feel bad though because Algol has gotten. People are saying, oh, you look at this table and this is if you're at the top of this table, you're the best player, and if you're at the bottom of this table, you're the worst player. And again,
Can you
that's
link me that
not.
spreadsheet again, Jester? I want at
It
least the one that
doesn't work.
has the rankings for players.
That spreadsheet
It
does
should
not
be in the
take into
chat.
account the matchups, the
Posted it
overpairing,
first.
and everything going on. And I think
That doesn't
Algol
mean we
is
can't do a
very
little
good.
name and shame.
He's a very good mechanical player, and for as good a mechanical player as he is, he either gets insanely overpaired or things do not just work out or fall out with him.
All right, would
I'm not
anybody
going
like to
take.
talk about why Math and Rise won? I'm
Yeah,
gonna have to just
because
cut you
of the
out, choices.
Doritos.
Somebody
controller.
else. Why did Math and Rise win? Let's bring some actual analysis instead of the
Yeah.
apologies out.
I think the reason they won was because of the lunar equinox that was happening the day of the match.
He's got a
that
good
was
point
it.
there.
Yep.
Math. All right, Matt. The reason they won is Math is also really good with a flame sword. Math's tempo control and aggro, at the worst of times, are very dangerous and deadly. And when he's at his best, it's hard to deal with. Brawley got very smashed by Gehennas and lasers and just a close-up aggro just to throw him off balance. And I think Rise doesn't get a lot of credit. But he's definitely moved his way towards the top of the board. Not that fake board that we're talking about, Tourney, but I mean like top of players that you can count on for being very good and consistent.
Send me that link, Jester.
It's in there. It's in the Facebook podcast chat. Right before I link to the spreadsheet you're looking at, it's right before it.
I gotta scroll up for it.
Yeah.
Surely you jest. I don't see it.
Let's bring it over here. Where's individual leaderboard? All right, we'll come back to that.
Are you looking at it so you can see
What's
who
next?
excels?
Oh, this one's my favorite. Evolution and War Machine versus Shadow Shield and Ska Boss. Selected by Orange. Take it away.
Yeah, I need to thank Els for letting me know that this was a Bregan special type of match. I really don't understand how Team Murder lost this one. I'm pretty sure there was like something wrong, something happened, some type of miscommunication, some type of stressors going on in people. But
Man, at this point, we're just going to have to kick all the apologists out of the chat. What is this?
This is insane.
in all honesty, this is
This is the byproduct
This is
of
probably
partisan
the
team
best
politics. You can't have a
match
two-party system and get mad when it gets partisan. You want multi-party coalitions? Let's have a 6-team tournament next time. Then you'll get
On
some
the
very
subject of
candid
which-
Take your
responses.
green party and take a hike.
Vote for that on the poll that Murdo has made.
Democracy in action, everyone.
So everything was going right on Palace. I had the game. Shadow Shield popped himself out, and we was able to get a win like that. Then we moved on to the next map, and it was perfect mortar connection going on between the two murder team members. It was just perfect. It was like my eyes was tearing up. It was great. Pulled out a win over there. Then something just happened. I don't know what happened. I don't know if they had like some type of connection error. The ping went up by 100.
Doesn't he have Angel's Wing?
But somehow, some way, I felt like the video was Photoshop or something. Team Murder ended up losing the next 3 games.
All right. Somebody from Team Ska needs to shut up the apologist. TripleL, Jester, help us out here.
I don't even know what to say anymore. Can't even argue with them anymore.
It's kind of telling when one of your players has a shield but just refuses to use it just because, oh no, I can dodge Will-O-Wisp, and proceeds to eat 3 of them in a row. You think he'd catch the hint after the first?
I mean, it was off camera. I'm pretty sure it was more than 3. It was like 5.
It was a major health point swing for sure, and it's a bit of a problem if you don't. If you can't self-reflect in the middle of a match and go, am I good enough for this? No. I should change something.
It's hard to see your attack coming on a 13-inch TV screen that's in black and white. Like, that's going to be
looking into the mirror.
He had Angel's Wing, which is only 2 aura. At some point, it's just arrogance not to block it. Like, the aura sacrifice to block it is nothing compared to just randomly taking 4 damage over and over.
Okay, let's also remember that this is not Protect Shelter. This is Angel's Wing.
It's also Will-O-Wisp. It's not like it came out of nowhere and you didn't see it coming.
There's no guarantee that it even blocks. 1. 2, it is very easy to cartwheel 1 Willow.
At some of the ranges he was trying to get away from it or whatever he was doing, like he could have blocked with Angel's Wing 3 times before the Willow got to him.
Okay, there was a wisp of a chance.
Block with Angel's Wing.
You know, to even use Angel's Wing, you have to have some level of faith.
All right. Well, I think we can just close that one out by acknowledging the classiest close to a series ever with the double 21 damage Dance of Death. I think we at least have to acknowledge that was just glorious.
I think it's safe to say that Evo was winging it.
Really?
Moving on, aren't we?
It's not even just like apologizing for Murder's team. You're apologizing every time Evo does something.
On one of his
How much did Evolution pay you, Choices?
Seriously.
I thought you were mad about how the first round went when he threw you under the bus, and now you're out here chilling for him.
I'm not just an Evo apologist. That was actually
George
just an
Evolution Soros over here.
And I'm not defending. Like I said, I listened to the unaltered game audio with him and Carbon. I was very adamant. I didn't think the language or teamwork and everything was appropriate. But you know, Evo gets a bad rap too sometimes. We can't all be as awesome as
Willows.
I don't have anything. See, I can't apologize for that. They hit him. Actually, time isn't linear, so the Willows are and aren't hitting him as we speak. I've got nothing to stand on here. Okay? They hit him. It happened. There's no apology going on. I didn't know Bregan had a skill named High Horse, but he should fucking stop using it.
Wow.
This is worse than Geigen's Fortress of Arrogance.
All right, we had I can't even stop. Low Carbon and Mirage versus Alice and TripleL. Who had this? Jester did.
See, I'm going to take the exact opposite stance of Choices on everything. I'm not going to apologize for Sky, even though we won. Dude, use shields, motherfuckers. Come on. Like, nobody had shields that entire match. Like, TripleL, come on. Like, you even had a deck that literally had 0 shields in it. I get it. You guys still won, but man, that just drove me nuts. And Alice, we already know you don't use shields either, but you guys, somebody find a shield somewhere.
Wait,
other than that,
how did I take
it was
a
a cool
stance
map.
opposite to that?
No, because if I was being Choices right now, I'd be like, yeah, Team Skybusters wrecked them. Did a great job. Everything was perfect. Super high level play out of everybody. Murder, they just got lucky. You know, it's unlucky. It's just the way it is. No,
maybe if you were running for democratically elected president of Phantom Dust, you would take it back a notch. How am I supposed to oppose a king without the people behind me?
I don't need that. No, nobody's following me anyways. I went 0-3 the last 2 rounds. Jay kicked my teeth in, so I'm all right. So I can criticize everybody else that actually 3-0'd and beat their people. So yeah.
And I don't think I've ever
Perfect.
won a popular vote in my life, so don't think it's going to start tomorrow. Anybody else got anything else to say about that match?
I probably should have played a Wheeler when I ran the no shields deck.
No, you should have run shields.
Like literally, as soon as I
That's a
finished
step too far.
casting that match, like I just like typed in the chat. I was like, "Listen here, you little shits." In our team chat.
God, I would have given what I would have given for an angel's wing that they wouldn't have used, just to have one.
All right. Next one was we can't talk about that one. I guess we can at least make a prediction. We'll do that after we do our last recap though. We had Game God and Guinan versus Mario and Odin. Alice had this one.
Yeah, so in that one, Decoy won Palace for the murder team, and then I think they had Highway. The Team Esca had Highway, but for some reason, Odin was trying to get an angle with the twist laser in that spawn that had Game Good. I think he should use the aura cannon that he had instead. And they lose that one. I think it was because Mario had to make a long pickup, and the last one was Refinery with the lagouts.
Yeah, I think that Mario did a phenomenal job on Highway. That was a very tough situation to be in where their spawn was originally. But Geigen turned it around and did the exact same when he had to make that really long pickup on Game God. Game God was trying to use that spot, and that spot wasn't really reliable, and he took too much damage. I don't want to second guess Game God too much because he did very well. But the problem is if you were recording it, we see every attack you have and don't throw. You know, we see every angle you're looking at. I think he, was too far back when Mario was pushing the aggression. He didn't come out to get that laser fire onto Odin, allowed Mario to stick it in there. I also think that he used that heat and that stimulate when they were in a 2v1, and he just wasn't able to spam when all they needed was 1 or 2 damage to take Mario out. That being said, he definitely did quite well, and they destroyed on Palace and on Refinery. I think Geigen and them were a little bit maybe overpaired as far as straight up matchups go, but it was I think they did well with what they had.
Anybody else want to chime in on that?
Yeah, I'm gonna say, man, I think it really came down to that. Just Odin's on the other side of the planet. Mario was in the middle of a hurricane. They just couldn't do it. It was just unfortunate. Somebody actually broke both of Mario's thumbs the day before. Yeah.
I mean, it happens. The stuff happens. The outcome's the outcome.
You know,
We don't
Can
need
we
to make
move on? We go
excuses
on to
for
the
the
next
people. I mean, come on.
I should reflect on that Team Murder was also struggling in that situation, but yet still pulled out a 3-0. Did you know that 2 people phones got stolen that was on Team Murder team that night from their own house? Somebody went straight into their house, put pressure on them, took their phone, and they was all like, "No, I'm gonna finish my Phantom Dust match."
Wow, how
If
brave of them.
anything, I was being
I'm
a
so
Mario
impressed.
apologist to begin with. I think Mario played quite well and good for the situation he had. I think he overplayed expectations, and he still almost stole the victory on Highway. And then in the 2v1, he stayed alive for a long time to try to make a long pickup. How am I not apologizing on the other side of the aisle here? How dare you?
Kamikaze and Odin did well for the situation they were in. That the team they were against, they're definitely a good team. Kami and Odin, I don't know if they've ever actually played together other than just for this tournament match. So it was interesting to see them together, but it was what it was. Yeah, I think overall everybody played well on it. There wasn't anything that just really stood out. Just like, what the hell were you doing? As in some of the other matches.
Right. I think that's fair. Like Angels win.
All right, we all done
Exactly like
there?
Angels win.
If anybody wants to, here, I'll relink it. I'm going to go, before we start making predictions, I was going to take a look at the individual's leaderboard. I'll relink it here in the podcast.
You mean that stat collector that I think doesn't have the relevance people give it? Sure,
Well,
sure.
no, I don't think we're going to look at it and be like, Snowrise and Skimmy are clearly the highest tier players in this tournament, because they're not.
Hold on. I feel like they are just because of the list.
Oh yeah, the stats don't lie, Bregan. Come on.
Numbers never lie.
Oh my god, are you
Schmidt,
guys actually
wanna do
reading
like
it this way?
You want to record a 1v1 and prove it?
Oh,
Okay, then. All right. The point is, we get to see who's performing well and who's not. It's not
That's where
necessarily
you
a
don't-
ranking of who's the very best or very worst players in the tournament, but it is interesting to see the trajectory and performance of certain players. I actually didn't realize that Algol was dead last, but he is, because that was what spurted, is when you were talking about Algol.
yes, when I was trying to give it, like, why it wasn't relevant.
That
Then it
guy's
wasn't
got a
an
map,
indicator.
He's got a map score of 3-15. Whew.
I'll give it to you,
Go
choices.
look back at all
That's
his
not what
matches.
this is for. This absolutely isn't a ranking of everyone who's the best. I think Nathan's actually going to take this data and do some little bit of other data scientist magic on it to try and rank things a little bit differently. This is strictly numbers collection, like Poor Traces says. It's just who's won what, who's lost what. Doesn't take into account that some people are versing the arbitrary S tier, A tier, B tier, whatever that somebody somewhere assigned to people. Obviously, we know somewhat of what those tiers kind of are. So I think Nathan's going to take that into consideration, look at the tiers, look at what people have played against the different matches, and try to weight it a little bit differently to show maybe another look at the data of what it looks like,
I
other
would
than
love
just
to see.
It's just a fun thing to be able to look at people's
I would love to see
performance
it
in the
done
tournament.
like
This
a
is-
master chess style, where everybody has an expected stat rating, and your stat rating goes
like an Elo
down.
system.
Yeah, like so if it was a game that he was never supposed to win,
I mean, at that point, that's just
then
the same.
he would
rating
lose
system
almost
in
0
Phantom
points.
Dust.
Okay, but better than that, because that clearly is just do everything I
That
want
sounds
with
like
me adding
somebody,
no
like something
detail or
somebody
help.
with 1100
whatsoever.
rating would say.
Wow.
I'm sorry. Do you want to play some Apex?
Oh, touch the nerve, touch the nerve.
Yeah, shots fired. At least one of us can fire shots and hit something.
All right. We're predicting, right?
Who on this list, like where they're placed right now, really surprises you? Just throw out a name.
Nathan.
I would say myself. I felt like I would have been last place, but things happen. I got a couple.
It's Orange Baby bringing up the humble pie. Who else wants to take a piece?
Me right on top of Bregan, right where I belong.
Hey, we did play each other in this tournament. How'd that go for you?
So the deal with overpairings and
Oh,
I'll play-
so it's an overpairing now just because I played you?
I'll play your
Ooh.
team right now. Get it? Let's switch right now. My team versus your team.
What?
Round 6.
Oh, you mean me and Ebony versus you and Guinan?
Yeah,
I'd be down to do that as an exhibition later.
I'm down.
How
I think that'd be a pretty
many
competitive
grudge
match.
exhibition matches have we started because of this now? Or are
A
we up
lot.
to
No,
like
I've got like 3
5?
exhibition matches with choices at
And
this point.
they're all caused by my fat mouth. I don't care. I'm gonna challenge everyone on behalf of everyone.
What name's placement surprises you the most on this list, Triple?
Ooh. Gotta go with that one. I the whole thing that started the King of Phantom Dust series. I was not expecting that, and not so much because of necessarily Affin's technical ability, just the fact that.
Oh, I definitely
Out
mean
of-
Affin's technical ability.
Oh, okay,
Not
fair.
have to be
A
nice
little bit
people.
of that.
Are
Yeah,
you kidding?
Affin's not the best. I didn't expect to see him at the top, but even then, I didn't expect. I did not expect him to be where he is just based off of the nature of the tournament and how you're going to be playing so many different people. That I would have thought he would have run into a lot more people who could essentially 2v1 his team, but no, he's done really well.
I think
So that's
Affin's
exactly what
technical
this
play.
shows. Like that's what this spreadsheet shows is those situations because you have these groups of I know the other team had it too, but Scott team had a group of people that were kind of deciding what the matchups would be, and obviously the point was to put in the most advantageous for your team so we can get the most wins. So a lot of these wins that end up that people have are because they were purposely placed against people that we thought they would win against. It wasn't like it wasn't that Appen was going to get thrown into I don't know like early murder type situations or anything like that often. It was more that they were kind of thrown in with people that everyone, at least from our side, thought were more on the same tier that we would get a good win out of it. Yeah.
I don't know. I think Affin's play has been nothing short of phenomenal. Here is a guy who, based on his own commentary, we know knows none of the skills. He must just be grabbing random things and throwing them to a deck, and he somehow is not the worst player I've ever seen. That's phenomenal. This is a guy who sees a Rian and probably thinks it's a will o' the wisp. I am shocked.
Nah, he thinks it's a
that he's
railgun.
able to
L-bomb.
get
That's
those
a railgun.
skills.
L-bomb.
And he's been consistent.
Probably
Yeah.
vibration laser.
Somebody
Yeah.
shoots a railgun one state over in a different match, and he hears it. I mean, he is the Chuck Norris of Phantom Dust. It's like someone played Lunar Force and Affen smells it. Like, he's casting in dimensions we haven't even thought of. And you guys are mocking. You're saying, oh, he's doing pretty well. You think they call him the King of Phantom Dust because you're seeing him play this once. You didn't know he was playing with his feet the whole time. Oh man, you have no idea. I
You
thought
know,
that was
Matt,
me being
you
the
had to
man.
make a comment I actually agree with you. Like we could have just been on opposite sides the entire time, and now you had to say something like that.
I tried. I told you, I crossed that aisle. Get your votes.
What about you? Which name surprises you the most, Jester?
I'm not here to make friends. Skimmy, I am utterly surprised he is so high. That is the biggest one to me that I feel like just got. I don't know. I didn't even think they're really advantageous entirely matches that he had to play against, but he's all the way up there. Like I don't know. It surprised me with how many wins and the fact that he's 4-0 right now. He hasn't lost a single match in every single one of them. So he's doing something right. It's just watching the matches after the fact. It really, I don't know, kind of frustrates me seeing how he's getting the wins. Like the last match against Bigfoot and Skaboss, I don't know how many more times our team could just run into photon bursts with knowing that it's there over and over and over.
I mean, don't apologize for them too much.
Dude, I'm not like I said. I'm not you.
I know
don't
you are. That's
I don't
you're
feel
throwing them under the Phantom Burst. You're bursting their bubbles.
Again, I went 0-3. I suck. So take my criticism. Obviously,
I don't. I don't.
salt.
Because according to Gagnon, he wanted me to highlight that the list shows that Jester can take choices. So he's firing shots for you. on your
The
behalf
list?
for round
Do you see
6.
where I'm at on the list? I'm on the bottom.
I'm below you.
No, you're not. Are you?
Well, at least until I get points from round 5.
No, you're still above me. You're 1, 2, 3, 4. You're 5 slots above me.
Okay, then maybe I misread his text. What I'd like to say is the list proves that choices can take Jester. It's called
All right,
flip-flopping.
we'll do a 1v1. That's fine.
I would actually love to. I don't know if we've ever played one-on-one, you and I.
I
So
honestly don't know if we've ever played
All
together.
right, write it down.
match
It's another
number
first match.
7
Write
of
it
the
down.
podcast for choices.
God, I have so many grudges. This hurts and takes me. I
You're
want
gonna
to
have
just
a busy
remember me
week
as I
7.
was. No.
Write it down. All right, I'll write it down.
Put it on the-
Choices v. Jester 1v1 SmackDown.
Well, can you call it a laugh riot?
No.
He's the jester and I'm the jokester.
Moving on.
Physical pain. Physical
Sigh.
pain.
That's
All
what
right.
my humor causes people, they tell me.
Orange had selected to talk about a match that hadn't occurred, so we'll let him do like we did with the predictions before. I'll just remind everybody who's here what we're going to do for predictions. I will ask one person to tell me who's going to win and why and talk about the match, and then I will just ask everybody else to vote which team wins. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right, so the first one will be the Week 5 match that got delayed. Skimmy Style, Some Poor Choices versus Blazy and Killamark. Go ahead and tell us why Murder's team is going to win, Orange.
Okay, Bregan, I do not know why you think I'm like biased on Murder Team for some odd reason. Look, I'm just gonna look at stats for this one. I'm not even gonna act like this is a Team Murder versus Team Scott. Clearly, we got one of the TripleS tiers players according to these rankings in Skimmy Style playing, and we also got the jokester fan with us with choices playing. And
I mean, the question is Choice is going to be too much of an anchor for Skimmy to carry at this point, right?
Felt like Skimmy could carry anybody. Like Skimmy was able to carry me. He was able to carry anybody. So
I don't think he's been given an anchor of Choice's caliber yet, though.
To be fair, Choices has like just dived off a map for shits and giggles and lost matches before it. It is pretty serious.
Wow.
He's so heavy he can't even stay on the map.
But
Exactly.
Before I even make the decision,
I'd love to weigh in, but I'm too heavy, apparently.
Blazin is actually somebody who actually surprised me with his standings right now. And Killamark, he's always good for bringing some variety to a match. But I really don't
You're
think
one to talk.
But you can see why that's a trait that he values higher.
that's a positive when I'm talking about variety. But like I said,
Oh.
Skimmy is actually going to be able to carry Choices into about a 3-1 win. Choices probably going to let him down, probably on the pickup, and Blazing and Mark might take one.
So wait, in your hypothetical, I'm letting him down by not picking up his dead body?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's going to be on a pickup. I want to say about 4 minutes and 15 seconds into the match. You're going to, but you get a double team.
All right.
You dodge one attack, then get hit by the last.
Everybody else, let's just weigh in who wins. We have one for Murder then. Alice, which team wins this?
Team Order.
Jester?
Yeah, Team Murder.
Schmidt?
Murder.
Choices? No, you don't get a vote. You're too heavy. Triple?
I hate to say it, but Murder as well.
All right. Next prediction. So we're actually in round 6 now. Let's see. We've got Evolution and PDDCM, his babysitter, versus Kamikaze Mario and Mr. Math. Alice, who wins this matchup and why?
Kamikaze and who?
It's Kamikaze Mario and Mr. Math. Sorry.
Mm, I think the Team Murder is gonna win this one. Mm, maybe Team Esca. It's gonna be very close because Mario and Math can have better synergy, but evolution needs to recover from the last two matches, and I think he and PDDCM can win. Are gonna win this match.
All right. One for Murder. Orange.
Team Murder.
Jester.
Uh,
Sorry, what?
Team Ska.
Schmidt.
Oh, buddy, I'm torn on this one. I'm gonna go with Murder.
Choices.
I think the viewers are going to win because they get to see a wonderful match where Murder's team wins.
Triple.
Ska takes this one.
All right. Then we've got Guinan in choices versus. Oh, dang it. I keep messing this up. Let's see. I got to switch who's doing this. Schmidt, you're going to do this one. Guinan in choices versus Nathan and Jester.
You know, if Nathan keeps playing like he's been playing, it could be a rough battle. I mean, Guinan and SBC, they're great players, but I think Nathan and Jester are just super solid, and together, I mean, I think that they're a really solid team, and so I think it's probably going to be a 3-1 or a 3-2, but I got to give it to Team Murder.
All right. Jester.
I'm going to vote on myself. Okay. I'm going to go with Team
wait.
Murder.
Yeah, you can vote on yourself.
Yeah. No, I
normally
I'm
don't
gonna
allow
be
it, but I'll allow it today.
I'm going to be the absolute anchor on this one for sure. Nathan, I'm sorry. You're going to have to pick me up way over 13 times. So, yeah. I think that's going to go
Yeah,
Team
just look at
Murder.
it this way. You can't do worse, right?
I can go 14. It might be worse.
Choices in this match, and he's too heavy. Triple.
I'm going to weigh in because you weren't going to let me, and I get rebuttal now. Jester thinks he's going to be the big anchor. I have already told Gagnon I'm bringing nothing but 3 frostbites and 3 recollections, and he better do it on his own.
I don't even think
1.
that works.
2.
3 recollections?
2. 2. I don't care how solid their team looks. My NutriBullet's going to turn them right into a liquid. This one's going Team Murder all the way.
All right, Triple.
Battle of the Anchors, Ska Boss comes out ahead.
Alice.
Team Esca.
All right. Next one, we've got my match, Ebony
Murder's gonna win this one.
and myself versus Murder and Jay. Go ahead, Jester.
Yeah, I think this one is going to be really interesting. Obviously, I've seen Jay kick my teeth in the last two weeks, so I've seen a lot of his play style, and I think it's going to mesh really well with Murder. They've also partnered before and have this synergy. I think that's going to be interesting. I was playing with obviously you and Ebony last night, so I got to see at least a little bit of what you guys have from a synergy standpoint. I think you guys are going to be brutal as well because again, you guys complement each other really well. This one is going to be really, really close. I think it's going to be a 3-2 for Ska though. I think you guys are going to bring it out and be able to just keep knocking them down.
Sounds good, Schmidt.
I'll be the defector. I'm gonna go vote Ska.
Choices.
This is my Some Poor Choices match of the week. I think this is the closest matchup out of all the week 6 matchups. I also think this is the very top of the table for both teams, basically. I am going to lean towards Team Murder, but I'm expecting some very good matches.
Triple.
I hate to say it, I think Murder takes it. Although it is going to be incredibly close. One way or the other, can't really tell. But I think it favors Murder slightly.
All right, Triple's off the team.
Shieldless, and you're off the team.
Oh,
Alice.
Team SK.
Orange.
Team Murder.
All right, even split. We had two. It looks like it was party lines, but there was actually a defector on both teams there. All right, we've got Game God and Schmidt versus Affen and Killermark. Go ahead and take it, choices.
Okay. This is another one. I think that's a very close matchup. We've seen some good things out of Game God and Schmidt, but on the other side, I do think the stronger looking pair is on the Ska side. Killer Mark, I think the real question is he going to get the games in? He's going to be practicing. But Mark and Rise, Rise especially, of the Snows, he doesn't like to tout himself as the most elite Snow. But the secret super Snow, I think, is currently the strongest Snow. So I'm hoping Team Murder can take that title from him and pass it on to Schmidt. But I do think they are facing a slight uphill climb. So I am going to say 3-2 in favor of Ska.
All right, look at that. The apologist finally votes the other way.
It's almost like maybe I wasn't an apologist. I was really accurate the whole time.
Uh-huh.
Almost.
Whoops, what happened there? Oh, I hit enter and it autofilled. All right, let's see, who's next? Triple.
oh,
Just
Man.
2 wins.
yeah. Still, gonna favor Murder this one.
You're definitely off the team. Alice?
Me, Team SK.
You can
Oh, I
check.
thought it was Snow Rise. It's Affen. Is
Yeah.
whoops. Switch that 3-2 the other way.
All right. Orange.
Yeah.
Well, I need to go with the greatest Phantom Dust player of all time, so Team Ska on this one.
Jester? Break the tie.
Yeah, I think this is Team Ska.
Hey. All right, next we've got Brawley and War Machine versus Shadow Shield and Triple. Let's see, who did I give this to? Orange.
Again, we got the human backpack trying to make his return, Brawley, in a match against Shadow Shield and TripleL. It's probably going to surprise everybody in here, but I think Team Murder is going to take this one 3-1. Brawley's going to make the return to being the number one player in the tournament again. And we're just going to move on from there.
All right. What about you, Jester?
Yeah, this one's gonna be hard. I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Team Murder on that one.
Schmidt?
I'm going Murder.
Choices?
Okay, one of those teams has a literal machine made for war, and the other one is trying to block things with some sort of penumbral shadow or penumbral shield. Come on. One of those is an effective device. The other is not. Clearly Team Murder here.
Through the power of my faith.
Alice?
Team SK.
All right. I'm going to chime in on this one because I'm just surprised everybody's winging so hard on it. I think Shadow and Triple actually have a great shot here. People underestimate how rough it's going to be with Brawley not having a mic. And if he goes down, I don't know that War Machine's going to be the pickup artist that is able to revive the micless as well as some of his previous partners have. And if anybody's an artist at putting somebody down unexpectedly, that's Shadow Shield. And Triple brings a whole lot of X factor to that as well. So that's the only one I'm going to weigh in on. I think Shadow Shield and Triple take it 3-1. All right. Next one, We've got Carbon and Snowtide versus Ska Boss and Odin. Who'd I give this to? Triple.
Team Scott takes this all the way. I don't think there's really any chance here. It's going to be a 3-0 crush.
Somebody should get
I'm
this
not
back on the team.
I don't think there's anything to really say about it. Like, both of the players on the Scott team are solidly above either of the players on the Murder matchup here, and I think there will be the biggest threat to Ska not taking it 3-0 and taking maybe a 3-1 or 3-2 is if Odin gets a little too spicy, or he pulls out some of his really weird Wings of Hope Joke of Anubis shenanigans. But so long as Ska Boss can keep him reined in well enough, it'll be an easy 3-0.
You sound like you're speaking of some painful memories of your own on that one.
I was really surprised by how mechanically solid Odin performed in the match that we did, because I've played a lot of 1v1s against him, and the skill disparity between those two experiences was huge. I think he's really gonna take that match.
Sounds good. All right, let's run through everybody else. Alice?
Team SK. Team SK wins.
Orange?
I'm gonna say this is gonna be a close one, but Team Sky got this 3-2.
Jester?
Ska all the way.
Schmidt?
Reluctantly, I'm going to say Team Ska.
Choices?
Okay, rod-shaped Odin. I mean,
All right,
what
he's
kind
already
of a
breaking
name?
out the apology.
What kind of a
Match
name
hasn't
is
even
rod-shaped
happened.
Odin? I think this one is a little bit of an pair. I'm not a big fan of this matchup. That being said, I think Tide and Carbon can and do play well together. I think if this is a Flame Swords at Dawn scenario, it's going to be closer than everybody's giving credit. So I'm going to say 3-2. And you make fun of my apologies. I haven't heard Alice go off the party script once. Are you forcing people to vote your way? Come on, guys.
You don't have to answer that question, Alice.
Yeah, that's what
It's not in the contract.
Well, I am off the
With your-
team now after my disobedience to the party.
Hey, your last bit might get you back in, so don't go rocking the boat anymore. Keep
okay.
walking the straight
I'll
and
be a
narrow,
good
and
boy.
maybe we'll have you back in.
Yeah, until you act up and he brings the sickle and hammer. What is your opinion, Comrade Triple?
Team Ska.
We are the red team. All right, we've got Orange and Mirage versus Alice and Bigfoot. Go ahead, Jester.
I don't know why you signed me this one. Yeah, the experience is all on one side. Orange and Mirage have been around a lot longer, have a lot more experience. Alice, I don't know if he's been around for a while, but this is definitely the first tournament that I remember seeing him in. Bigfoot, same thing. Very new. I just don't think it's going to be something that they're going to be able to figure out time to get some matches in to really get that mesh or something real sneaky together to beat Orange and Mirage. And Orange has just even showed Orange's mechanics are absolutely there. He does silly stuff sometimes, but as long as he has his mechanics there and he keeps that up, it just won't even be a fight. So going Team Murder.
All right, Schmidt.
Murder.
Triple.
I mean, I think I need to say Team Ska, but I do believe that Murder takes this one.
You're really risking your membership here. Choices?
It's Team Snow Murder. It's Team Snow Murder by a lot.
Alice doesn't get to vote. Orange doesn't get to vote. All right, I guess we're leaving it there. Let's see.
Well,
Last
Bregan,
I
you can
mean,
vote.
I am facing Orange for the third time. I don't care at this point.
It's the fifth time?
Fourth
Yeah.
time.
5?
That's it, really?
I think it's 4 times.
I
One.
I mean, that's a
Round
separate
Orange is one of the
Or
other
it's-
only people who we've found who can connect to him.
That's a separate discussion I want to have in just a minute. Let's do the last prediction then. We've got Algol and Skimmy versus Blasian and Rise. Go ahead, choices.
Okay, this was my other very good matchup of the week. I think this between is about equal with the J order. I've got this as a 50-50. You've got Skimmy, who has been doing very well this tournament, and Algol, who doesn't get the credit, but mechanically is an incredibly good player. And on the other side, you have Blasian, who doesn't have the same amount of experience, but has been very eager, has played a lot, and I think I actually scrimmed with them, even though I'm waiting to play my match with them. Him and Killer Mark were getting games in. They were doing quite well. They were communicating, and they were giving War and I a run for money. So I think people aren't giving him the credit just because he's newer, hasn't been around. But he's a player that's eager to learn, and I think is vastly improving day to day. And then Snowrise, back when I thought he was with Killer Mark this round, facing Schmidt and Game God, Snowrise, like I said, I think is currently the ultimate Snow. So we'll see if he rises to the occasion. But I'm putting this one at 50-50. I honestly, I would think that Ska side will take it, but I'm going to vote for Murder's side, and we'll just have to deal with the most apology.
You just voted for Ska because you said
It's
they
a
were
vote
going
for
to
Ska. Done.
win. Yep.
in a 3-2-2.
You don't get to vote with your heart.
3-2-2. Oh my god.
If you say that, but I might still write in vote with my heart if I want to.
Triple?
I think Ska takes this one. Rise is so good at being a teammate.
Alice?
Team SK. Team SK wins. Also, by the way, I really hope Blazy Octolaser choices in this match.
I haven't been hit by Octolaser since I was but a child, but I welcome the challenge.
See, you shouldn't have said anything now.
Bring nothing but Octolasers. I'll bring reflect or reverse. We'll have a hell of a time.
Orange?
Gotta go with Team Murder on this one.
Jester?
You just did that, so I have to change this. Yeah, Team Ska, 100%. Absolutely.
Schmidt?
I mean, I gotta go with my former partner. As much as me and him are at a grudge right now, I'm gonna go with Ska.
Alrighty, well that does it for predictions. The topic that I was going to touch on actually was we were talking about Alice and Orange facing each other for the fourth time. And Fifth time.
I think only the fourth.
No, it's five. That's five.
Third, I'm pretty sure it's the third
Jester, can you go
time.
through and just check?
You can literally just look up.
It's fourth.
Well,
So round
doing
one they
stuff.
didn't. Round
Doing
two they
Round
did.
one they didn't.
Round three
And round
they did.
5 they didn't.
Yeah, so 3.
This will be the third
No,
time or the fourth time?
No, this is the fourth
This will be
time.
the fourth.
This will be the 4th.
Okay, so it's the fourth time they face each other. But that's actually something I think is pretty common for most players in this tournament. I know some people get a little more diversity, but you tend to get matched against people that you're perceived to be on the similar level of, I think. Because I've played a combination of Murder, Guinan, or PDDCM in pretty much every week except for one, for example. And clearly Alice and Orange have been put up against each other for the fourth time now. What about everybody else in here? Who's the person that you've had to go up against, it feels like, every week? Schmidt?
Murder and Jay.
Oh, I've been thrown around. I started at the bottom, and I've had to play every single person in between. I mean, I started with Ailes and Odin, and then y'all saw when I had to fight Ebony and Nathan. I mean, it's completely two sides of the spectrum.
Jester, how many times have you played Murder and Jay?
Murder twice, Jay twice. Back-to-back weeks for both of them. So my first 2 weeks were against Murder. Then round 4 and 5 weeks were against Jay. Round 3 was the only time I actually played with different people.
What about you, choices? Who's haunting you?
I think I've had different matchups every week, if I'm remembering it right. But I've also had pretty wild pairings from top to middle to bottom.
Well, in that case, I can tell you who's haunting you. The person who 3-0'd you.
I can tell you the only real opponent I've ever had is looking in the mirror at me right now. That's right, myself. I'm my own worst enemy. I think I can feel it crawling in my skin. These wounds will never heal. But yeah, I haven't run into that same problem. I know that we were talking about this, but I think some of it there are also connection issues that limit us. So it's not just the similarity, the top and bottoms of the table. Killer and Game God, for instance, cannot connect. So we definitely had to move around a couple pairings just based on that problem with firewalls. I think there was some
I think that
consideration
did resolve
to
because
paying.
they played each other one week.
Yeah, that was the week that they did the 1v1s.
No, they played again in week 4.
Oh, well then it was
Yeah,
resolved. But still planned around it in weeks 2 and 3. So I don't know. It's I can see how it's frustrating. But I don't know if there's a perfect solution to it either.
Who's been your continual opponent, Triple?
I think the closest I've found to that is War Machine. Although I'm not sure it's so much opponent as punching bag, but wait, no,
Wow.
PDCM and War Machine. Yeah, that one was bad, but
I want to know what the record is. This is the 4th time we've got them both in here. What's the record right now between Alice and Orange?
All right.
I have won twice, and he once, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, he defeated me when I
Yeah,
was
it
with
was 2 and Orange has
Blazy.
1.
Yeah, and the only time that Orange won, it was a close one. It was a 3-2-1, where
Let's see. Where's that match this week?
it's 8-4, I think. Yeah, 8-4 favoring Ales.
I may not be a math wizard, but I thought you said there were 4 matches. That only adds up to 3.
is this
Yeah,
week.
the 4th one's this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, like I said, not a math wizard.
Not a math wizard, nor is he good at following conversation either. All right. One last topic I had in mind. I'll open it up if anybody else has anything they want here in a moment. I wanted to make a prediction for round 7 then. Who you think is going to be the captain's partner. And then after we've established who we think is most likely between all of us, I want to make a prediction on who wins that round, since we probably won't have a podcast in that meantime. So who do y'all think is going to end up being from Team Murder and Team Ska? Got the list there if you need it.
So I'll go first. Rise is already at the top. Rise is going to win this week. They're going to 3-0. There's no way that it can't be Rise from Team Ska, in my mind.
What's this matchup again this week? Rise and
It's
Blazy versus Skimmy.
Yeah, those are the 2 point leaders. It's Rise and Skimmy.
Well, and the thing to note is Skimmy hasn't scored for week 4 yet, or excuse me, week 5 yet. So there's a potential. I think he's going to win week 5, but there is a potential that Anchor Choices takes him down, and he could be much further down the list than he currently is.
Sure.
But otherwise, if it's not Skimmy, who would it be then? I guess next on the list would be Guinan. Jeez. Whew.
And Guinan's going against me. Yeah, so my pick for Team Ska is going to be Snowrise. My pick for Murder is going to be Guinan, because I think Guinan's going to pass up Skimmy on points. And then when it goes into the actual fight, yeah, Guinan and Murder are they're 2 S tier people. That's not going to go well. Sorry, guys.
That would be pretty rough.
Yeah.
I
So
think Skimmy's going to do well in round 5, and that'll put him at like 15-6, 15-5, and that'll be still pretty high versus Guinan, who's 13-9.
All I've heard is Choices is in a match with both of them and can choose to tank everyone's hopes and just frustrate the entire process if he so chooses. Interesting.
Just tank both of them, and then I guess next up would be Schmidt.
Or tank 1 or 2 of them. Who knows?
I think it would actually be super cool if it was Schmidt and Rise.
Oh, me and Rise have actually talked about this several times about how we would have loved to see each other at the captain's match together.
Like I still feel like the captains are skewed a bit there, but it would still be fun to watch. You guys get to have another grudge match.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, the last one, everybody saw how that turned out, and the backpack before then. So.
Dusting off his shoulder casually over there.
Oh yeah,
He
you know.
blamed me for fanning flames, but you trying to just get.
All right, let's just assume then that the top two from both teams ends up, because I think Skimmy will probably stay up there. So if we have Skimmy and Murder versus Rise and Ska Boss, who do you guys think wins that and why? Why don't you start for us, Triple?
Ooh, that one's a rough situation because both Skabas and Rise are, I think, some of the best people on Team Ska at being communicative teammates. Like they're very good at fitting in with their partner, developing synergies before the match, and getting things ready and solidified to go into a match and perform well. However, they are going up against someone who's arguably an S tier murder mastodon, and Skimmy as well. I mean, not Skimmy. Who's it? Sorry, what's it? Skimmy or?
Yeah, that's
Skimmy
what we're
and
predicting
Rise.
is Skimmy.
Yeah. Okay. And with Skimmy, I'm pretty sure that it'd be a very close series, but I think through the power of teamwork, Team Ska would be able to take it 3-2.
All right, I'm jumping in. Arguably an S class. The only way he is arguably an S class is if there was a class higher than S. I think Murder is hands down, specifically in tag, not 1v1, because he sucks at 1v1 for some reason. But specifically, you thought this was all confidence. No, this is choices real. Some Jerry Springer shit right here. When it comes to teammates and synergy and literally like, oh, I'll go take the aggro, I'll take the front line, I can do that, or I'll take the back line, and just adaptability in the moment. I don't think anyone is more consistently good at that than Murray. As far as communications, shield check, knowing who has what, being able to see your skills, like just top of the list. And I do think I do think Skimmy is very good, and he's coming along and he's doing quite well. But I think he's a little below both Rise and Ska. So I think you've got the top of the list, someone who's lower. I think it'd be a very, very good match. I am going to give it to Murder and Skimmy solely because, Murder, I think, elevates everyone, especially with Arsenal building and everything else. That's not to say that Ska is not dominant. I know playing with Ska last year and a half ago to playing with Ska 2 weeks ago, it's night and day. Ska is not boisterous or loud, but he is a very quality. But I really do think Murder elevates tag teams. And I don't want to pump his ego, but I did. So, damn.
Who else has got a weigh in here? Jester, Schmidt, somebody?
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, if it's gonna be Snow Rise and Skimmy style, I'm definitely giving it to Team Ska on that one. I don't think Murder can carry that much. Snow Rise and Ska are already so good. I wouldn't put them necessarily at Murder level, but I think the combination between the two of them is going to be too much for Murder and Skimmy to try and hold on to. With that said, I'm not going to kiss Murder's ass. No, hell no, dude. You switched over to a cartwheeler. You're dead to me. So he is an F tier now. So that is it. Like
An FU
Choice is
tier?
thinking he's yeah.
There's-
That's terrible.
There's murder
switches
level
to
and get
cartwheeler?
murdered level. I've never disagreed with a human being more than Jester and I during this podcast. At first, I think I was trying to troll him to play mind games for next week, and now I'm wondering if we have just fundamental differences. Like, I don't
Cartwheelers-
eat babies. Does that mean he does eat babies? I don't know. I'm beginning to question it every time.
Nah,
This is
you
how James
cartwheelers are
Harden
awful.
feels against everyone. I don't.
I would absolutely give it to Murder if Murder was still a jumper. Now he's a cartwheeler and he's trying to be a tryhard and be like all the other cool kids. I just can't give it to him. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry,
It
choices.
really upsets you that he puts the cart before the horse. Huh?
It really upsets me.
Still going, huh?
Always.
And time to roll it over to the only roller's opinion.
Nope, nah.
Murder and Skimmy.
I can appreciate that pun.
Thank you. Murder and Skimmy probably will get this one pretty easily because, like I said, I feel like just going on the rankings alone, Skimmy is an S tier player just on the rankings alone. Murder, outside of not being a roller, he's a S tier player. I probably would like to say he's an S tier player if he played a roller, but Murder Skimmy, that's going to be kind of hard for Sky and Snow to battle.
All right. Let's see. Who have we not heard from? Schmidt?
I've been thinking about it a lot, and I mean, I think it's just the communication factor. Like, I think that Rise and Ska are just going to talk so much and have so much information shared between the match. Not saying that Skimmy and Murder won't talk or try and get information across, but I think that just the communication factor alone sets Ska and Rise at a little bit of an advantage. And I think that, I mean, like you said earlier, the team captain skill level is skewed a little bit, but I think that so is their partners in a sense. I think that the balancing of it all, I think, is still in favors of Team Ska. So I'd give it to Ska, but I think it would be a close fight, either 3-1 or 3-2.
All right, Alice, you're the last one to weigh in on this.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with Team Esca because choices say that Murder, yes, he's a really good tag team player, but against Rise and Esca, Skimmy can go frontline, he can go aggro, so he's gonna take a support role, and if Esca and Rice take an advantage of that. They are gonna take an advantage of that, so they're gonna win that match.
All right. So, guess the consensus is that Murder's team can eat our shorts, right?
It's okay.
No dissenting opinions? None?
Somewhere in the future, Athen has already seen a fire of Gehenna hit Ska. It's already happened. Athen's watching it in his mind's eye.
And he's already called it a railgun.
Yes. He's seen all permutations of that game.
I mean, it does do 6 damage, to be fair.
That's an easy mistake to make.
Exactly.
I mean,
Just
railgun's
totally
vaguely red, right? Right? No?
Yeah.
They also have similar animations.
Yeah, I mean, they're both shooting
He from the
things,
void,
right?
it was a
You
dragon
shot a
slayer,
thing.
but it's fine.
They're projectiles.
One is just like hellfire springing from your chest, and the other one is you putting your hands together to shoot a tiny little laser beam thing.
I mean, colors, sound, to people with synesthesia, it's all, he could be hearing music every time he sees a fire of Gehenna. I don't know.
All right. Anybody else have any other topics or anything else they want to broach before we wrap this?
Do you want to touch the hottest button issue on the forums right now?
What's that?
The ban or do not ban list, potentially
for
reopening.
The environmental.
Yeah, the environmental controversy
We
of
can talk about
2017.
we can talk about next tournament and environmental. Which do you want to do first?
I mean, I think they go together.
Most sense.
Let's talk about the format first. The proposed formats were 2-team draft again, 4-team draft, a giant shrimp deal, standard tag team or the little 4-man diddly whatever deal that didn't get a whole lot of votes. So we'll talk about the main ones. I think it really came down to 2-team versus 4-team, and then Giants and Shrimps got quite a few as well. My thoughts were, and I shared them publicly already, was that this tournament's level of participation and just how much people seem to be into it has been better than any previous tournament we've had. And I'm very much if it's not broken, don't fix it. It's been fantastic. It's been better than anything we've had before. I think we just run it right back. I don't think there's a single thing I would change other than captains.
Okay. If it's not broken, don't fix it. If we really followed that, we'd all still be using Windows 98. Okay? There's a reason things can always get better, and I think we should always strive to make them better. And in that vein, I'm clearly full throttling for 4 teams. And here's why.
Deep
We
throttling?
didn't know this 2-team. Okay, well. Getting back on my topic. So we didn't know how good. Yeah, you did. You destroyed me. What are you? What a railgun? That's really a Gehenna. So we didn't know 2-team was going to be this good, and then we tried something that was outside of the Swiss, and it's been really fun. I really want to try 4 teams, and I really like the idea of what you can do with that many teams, as far as maybe like a tennis style. Let's say if each team has 6 or 7 people, you do mixed doubles. You have, 3 people, you pair some people together to do, a tag tournament, and then you have somebody go solo. And you put your captain up front to get share points on the 1v1, but then you try to bundle people together with the 2v2, and then you maybe help and tell the other team, hey, you're playing our opponents this week, and they, beat us with this. You guys should do this because you want to beat the enemy of your enemy. Oh my gosh, the room for intrigue and backstabbing and fun tournament play. And you think it's fun now, and you're looking and you're not a ska player and they don't have a spot for you, and when you're not a murder player and they don't have a spot for you, and multiply all that by 4 so you can just play people against each other. I think it's a little bit more ambitious, more difficult, but totally doable.
I think that's the thing. Like, it sounds great. How you explained it, even just it hypes me up even more for that idea, and I was kind of against it in the first place because that does sound like it would be very interesting. I just think the logistics behind it are just really going to be really hard to try and maintain and handle and actually get things scheduled and played. And I don't know how many other people are going to have that same mentality that you do, that, oh, this is great, that I might have to actually do a 1v1. Some people just don't want to do 1v1 ever. So it could just kind of alienate people that don't want to play that way. And
Murder walks in with a blaster, looks around.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my proposal for multi-team. We don't have to do it that way.
No. I like it. It's a good idea.
I'd say it's similar to the standard tag. Like, I think it could be fun. I think it would be one that we should maybe do in the future. I don't think it's the one we should do next.
I feel like we should do standard tag next because this is great. This, like you said, this has probably been the most fun tournament that I've been a part of, and it's worked perfectly. We only had 2 people that actually had any kind of issues with staying in the tournament, which wouldn't, maybe it isn't entirely on them anyways, but just the fact that they obviously had to go. But still, this has been fantastic. I love this, but I don't want to get into a situation then we get sick of it. Like, I like jumping. I don't like repeating the same one over and over. Like, I'd like to jump from this to do like a standard, then maybe something else, then come back to this, or
if we
on
go back
every
to
other.
the standard, we'd lose momentum.
And
I don't think our participation would be nearly as high, and I feel like we lose momentum.
It wouldn't be as high. I agree. There's no way that we would get the same amount of people for the standard. But I think people would come back when this comes after that.
We also
I don't
get
know.
more drop off in standard tournaments.
I think it makes more sense to go ahead and keep running the draft style tournaments, whether it be the more vanilla 2-team draft tournament or something with a more interesting number of teams, just because it engages the player base so much more. There are games going every week, no one's getting eliminated, and it goes ahead and ensures community participation for the whole duration of the tournament, barring someone having to permanently drop out due to extenuating life circumstances or something like that. And being able to have such a positive and large community turnout will only serve to both grow the Phantom Dust community as a whole, picking up more new people like Blazy, and also provide a fun environment for everyone. And if people start getting tired of the draft tournament style, that'll start being reflected, and then we can assess that problem, then try and maintain the same level of community participation. Also, I am so down for the idea of more than just 2 draft teams, because that both increases the importance and complexity of the drafting phase and actually the inter-team dynamics.
The other thing I see with the 4-1 is that, like, we were kind of narrow on getting 2 captains this time. I think getting 4 quality captains might be stretching things, especially if we're going to eliminate our current 2.
Very true.
I feel like if you do 4 teams, you can actually keep the current 2 captains and just expand it to 2 new captains as well.
I don't know if either one of them would agree to it again.
Yeah, I don't know if
again.
Skaboss wants to do it again.
Okay.
All right. Well, it doesn't seem like anybody else has much to go on that. It was proposed that in addition to the soft hang rules, that memory lapse would be banned in isolation. I think the first person who's going to be upset about this is probably Orange. So go ahead, Orange. What are your thoughts?
About it is, if you take away memory lapse and the usage of a skill that I feel like is essential to the game, you should just actually add in the hard hang room. You should be allowed to hard hang.
Yeah, I mean, if you took it away, I could see hard hangs coming back, possibly being like a redemption thing. Because one of the things that I think that I didn't realize initially, but was pointed out by Sandal, was that it's actually a really big nerf to jumpers more than cartwheelers to take away memory lapse.
Yep.
Because
nerf
environmentals
to jumpers?
and their hangs are more of a jumper thing. And additionally, it's one of the ways that they're able to deal with cartwheelers, too, is by laying those kind of things.
But I don't think that argument holds water when you say that you're considering hangs, because that's a huge fit in favor of jumpers, and they just want to ban one skill. We've banned everyone talking about this being a slippery slope. I mean, those arguments are used all with drugs, same-sex marriage. Like, one is not necessarily. It's a straw man argument to say banning this one thing or allowing this
Are you
thing
really telling me
is
reduced entropy
completely
doesn't feel
indicative.
almost as bad as memory lapse?
I'm telling you that we've banned things in this game that are broken. I love this game. I've been playing it for over a decade. I know most of us have, but it's not perfect. It never was, and we never had a full mod or dev team to fix it. We banned glitching outside the map. Well, that's part of the game. You know, I don't like some of the cheese with shooting ricochet lasers balls, and I don't know if but we're not banning that. We've accepted some of these things because they're able to be balanced. This is a particular skill in this meta, and everyone's talking about, the overuse of Orion. Yes, it's a very powerful skill. It's a great skill. You want to talk about one of the factors behind it? Memory factors behind it. Dark Hole and Flash Hole would have different balancing if we had mods that were correcting the skills every week. We don't. I think a ban list to shake up the meta, allowing hard hang to make jumping more advantageous. I think that's a fair shift. I think it should be discussed. I don't think it means you're banning 30 skills. Scientism, hanging scientism does not affect someone the same way hanging memory lapse does. I think it's a broken skill. I think it's one we would have seen patched in the game if the creator had played it, 2 years and had been constantly updating, had a timer. And that's to say if hard hanging. I know we've talked to the creator and he loved the way the game kind of evolved separate from them. But as far as balance testing, I don't think anyone's going to argue that it doesn't potentially cause problems. And I understand the goal of winning and being competitive, but I don't think the point of the game is to ever play a deck that is so broken and damaging that your opponents don't get to play themselves. I don't think you're outplaying them by, hey, look, I found a combo that's invincible. You just put in these 6 skills, press these buttons, and then the game's instantly over. I don't think that was ever the point. I don't think anyone really wants that reality. And I think it's fun to push the limits and try to find something close to that. But when you have a formula like that that's broken and doesn't work, then you get rid of that formula to reopen up the race and the imagination and everything that makes the game great. And I think having this conversation about bans, I don't see a problem to it. I know soft hang was the original compromise. That compromise, I think it's fair and open. That's something we should be open to trying.
I think that soft hang just did so much good for the game. I don't want to do anything that would break that, because losing memory lapse, a lot of people are expressing they would want hard hangs back in that case, and I feel like we lose more by getting rid of soft hang than you gain by getting rid of memory lapse. Even if you look at this tournament so far, out of 6 rounds with 8 games in each one, I think we've seen memory lapse twice.
If anything, I've been the most egregious case of playing dickish environmentals. I've reduced entropy people in all 3 of the series I've won, and just when I play reduced entropy, the games go very well after Palace. If there's anything memory lapse doesn't seem to be crucial to the meta in any way at this current state in the game. The threat of it certainly has an impact on the meta and how certain skills are played. It does increase the prevalence of reincarnation because it's such a good skill, but even if you didn't have memory lapse, people would still be running reincarnation just because of Flash and Dark Hole and any array
100%.
shield.
Absolutely.
Memory lapse isn't going... Removing memory lapse is only going to change, Seal of Death, maybe? No one has any reason to run Seal of Death anymore after memory lapse is gone. So sad.
I just disagree with choices. Memory lapse isn't even the worst. I think reduce cripples way more than memory lapse does. At least memory lapse, you can still fight it out. You can still use your skills. Yeah, they're going to be gone after you use it the once, but you still can. Memory lapse, it's hurting both sides. And then what are they stuck doing? They're stuck either trying to get a pop out with violent change, or they're stuck trying to hit you with reins, which if you run, you can probably get away, and then it just becomes a stall out anyways. Where at least with reduce, they can continue putting pressure on you, popping your stuff out while you're just stuck there twiddling your fingers. I just don't think.
You don't disagree with choices, then I'd rather ban them both and keep soft hang.
Okay.
That's my core position. I'm just saying the vitriol in saying one leads to another. I hate how the
that's a slippery slope thing, then, because you're gonna.
It's not though.
Yeah.
It's really not.
I mean, you literally just slipped down your own slope that you criticized.
You did.
You're like, maybe we should just get rid of reduced entropy too. Bam.
I'm saying I don't have a problem with getting rid of that particular skill, but one doesn't necessarily open the door to lifetime of bans. You can consider every environment in the light, and it's not like things aren't already banned.
As a community environmentalist,
there's nothing banned right now. There's banned right now. There's soft hang. That's it.
Getting through the maps is banned.
Says who? I haven't seen that in the rules at all anywhere, and I'm pretty sure.
Do that on the map and see if we don't call it.
When we play on Palace, I will jump through the map then. Okay. When we play on Palace, I'll jump through the map.
Done.
If you return to the lobby, I'm counting that as a win. And that will be the only win I got in 3 weeks, but I'll take it.
How do you jump through the map on Palace? I need some education here. I know about
glitches have been outlawed for a long time. We haven't put them in the rules recently, but ever since the first tournament, glitching outside of the map has been against the rules. No skills are restricted, though.
Okay.
All right, that's news to me. Well, I was wrong. Okay, I'll take it.
I think it was like an understood thing for so long that it didn't get bothered to be put in the rules for a long time.
See, I really didn't I do that all the time. I even do that in just exhibition matches. That doing that in Palace is really helpful for a jumper to get the fuck away.
Well, the spot you're thinking of, I don't think is outside
I'm not
the
sure
map.
what you're talking about.
So, like when you go up the staircases to the bench, you can jump in between the bench and the wall, and it throws you out of the map to reset you back to your spawn. Like it's nice to run away from people that are like chasing you and
I've
in
never
the
done it.
pressure where. Really?
Uh-uh.
I do
That
it.
is flirting with
All
the
right.
rules.
Well, I won't do it anymore then because I didn't realize
I've
there was
never
a.
looked into how to do the map exploits. Like I know they exist, and Sandal is like detailed them extensively, but I never looked into it. I was never interested, so I don't.
What on Palace is literally jump. You jump in the corner and that's it.
All
And
right,
like
let's
shake a little
not
bit
teach
and sends you
people how to
flying.
build math. Not tell people how to break maps.
I mean,
Right.
so long
Let's
as they
throw
aren't
that out.
actively abusing it.
I guess we just need to put it back in the
Eh.
rules. That's all.
Fine. You guys suck.
Good job, Jester. You broke the turn.
I know. Damn it.
There
but no,
goes my hopes and dreams.
Exactly. That was the only way I was going to actually escape from you guys.
I mean,
Fuck.
we can
Pair me
still
with
show
Jester next
triple if you
tournament.
want to show
We're gonna
it.
start an
Yeah, I'll
start
show
an
you
odd
guys.
couple podcast. Since we are the two most disagreeing parties ever.
I could go
See,
get behind that Jester and choices captains.
No, I
that.
said put us
That's
on the
fine.
same team. We'll be an odd couple
that's you.
pairing.
No choices and Jester captains. I think that would be sick.
I like that. They're not too.
I would probably vote for one of them at least.
I would be down to be on either team too.
Wait, which
Yeah.
one? You can't say I would vote for one of them and not tell us which.
No, I totally can. Watch me.
I was
I,
a
so-
I
Jester
think that would
fan.
be. I think that would be a really fun set of captains.
I do agree with that.
Also, like, I mean, not just because you're always against each other, but it's like almost different ideologies. You know, the lawyer versus the stats guy.
Ew. Numbers are gross.
Choices in here fighting with heart and friendship, and Jester in here with the cold raw data.
Data says you suck. I hate to break it to you.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I'm unconvinced on getting rid of an Enviro, but I think the biggest deal is I don't want to see soft hang gone no matter what. And I hate that the compensation for memory lapse being gone would be getting rid of soft hang. Even though
I'd be willing to try
it's
everything.
understandable.
As much as I think banning's absolutely a slippery slope, and it's just going to cascade, and people are going to want more and more and more. I think it's worth a shot, at least for one of these, like a smaller tournament, not a full blown one, but a smaller one, or something like maybe a couple weeks only, to go and see what it does, and see if it does change the meta, and see if it breaks everything. I think it's worth it. Just see.
If the overwhelming vote was for just memory lapse, only memory lapse to be gone, I guess I could swallow it as long as soft hang stays, because I think we worked really hard for a long time to come up with the soft hang rules and make them fair, and I think they have been incredibly good for the game and for tournament diversity.
That's such a weird one to me. Like, not that many people use memory lapse, and it's not the worst thing in the world if somebody does, due to the prevalence of people using Rian, which, again, like he's going to say, people use Rian because of memory lapse, but that's not the case. They use it because of dark hole and flash hole. Like, that's the main reason that everyone's throwing around the Rians, and the fact that it tracks like crazy and jumpers can't get away from it anyways. So I don't even think it's worth it. Like, what would be the point of getting rid of memory lapse then? It's shooting in the foot maybe the 1 or 2 wins somebody would get out of it. It's not like it's something that people are running all the time.
We've only seen it really deployed twice this tournament.
So I
I'd
know I
say-
ran it once and got a win off of it, but even then, like,
It
you could
was
see by
yours,
how
and
it
then
went,
Murder
it was
played it
awful.
against me.
No, I played it
Oh yeah.
with Skimmy, and we got a draw from that.
Okay,
So,
three.
Jester, are you
2
willing
wins and a
right now
draw.
to pledge not to use the rest of the tournament? Does it show that it doesn't even matter? It's not a useful skill.
It's an
Was
essential
that?
skill to me.
No, it's a fair
You're
question.
asking the one person who uses almost literally every environmental in the game. Like,
Okay,
I think
nobody-
I've seen him.
I never used optimization. Never.
I have a very selfish bias question against Jester, right?
Bring it.
Are you? Yes or no? Committing to not using it? Or?
I think you cut out. I missed most of that. I mean, not using what?
Since memory lapse isn't being used or abused, are you committed right now to say you don't need to use it for the rest of the tournament?
I have absolutely no plans of using it the rest of the tournament. The one time that we even used it was we got it was dumb luck that we even got the win on it because it doesn't work that well. It's not that great of a environment, so I will absolutely not use it.
That's the thing. Like,
There you
yes,
go.
it
You have
really sucks
inside.
to play against because it can screw you up. But closing out with memory lapse is actually a lot harder than closing out with some of the other environmentals. Like
Exactly.
it
Reduce
shuts
will allow
everything
you to
down
pop.
and it makes things kind of suck. But like really, the only way to close out is either violent change if the other team is careless, or reincarnation, and hope that your reincarnation is bigger than their reincarnation, which is already risky because whoever laid it is probably running a 3 school to have orb.
Exactly. And the fact
So-
that cartwheelers don't really care about reincarnation because you guys can just dodge everything that anybody throws at you by clicking a button.
Yeah, the person who laid it is probably a jumper and probably a 3 school versus 2 cartwheelers that could be 2 school with a reincarnation. So like memory lapse is just it's a very risky thing to play.
I think you've convinced. I'm not convinced that it's not a problematic or that we shouldn't ban skills, but I think you've convinced me that this might be a preemptive discussion. I mean, if we see like next week 6 teams try it, then maybe we should revisit. But I think the stats right now don't necessarily support it. But again, I don't think we should have a problem.
It's not prevalent,
Trying
and
to
I think it's one of the
self-regulate the
worst environmentals to close out with. I think there are several environmentals that are much easier to close out with. Reduce Entropy, Athena's Command, Forest Sanctuary, Chaos, I think all provide more clear paths to victory than Memory Lapse.
I'd be very supportive of a short tournament where we could test a banned and or restricted list and see the way the meta would change with like, okay, we don't have any unlimited use of race shields and no more reincarnation. See how that goes, something like that. And also throw memory lapse and some other nasty
If there's no
environmentals.
reincarnation, you definitely have to get rid of all erase shields. Or at least all
Yeah,
medium
exactly.
ranged erase shields.
Or maybe we'd see a sudden resurgence in Seal of Death, as terrible of a skill as it is, just for the sheer fact you can't erase it. Something
We
like
see
that.
a lot more prevalence
Subscribe.
of Pierce. So you see Pierce
I mean,
coming
I
out
would-
a lot more too.
I think a fun tournament idea would just be banning Faith.
Oof. I would
I
try
think
it
that
for sure.
feels a little drastic, and then also at that point,
Just do a flash
maybe
tourney.
memory lapse.
The no,
I mean,
no,
that's
obviously
actually
no
not
mem.
the worst idea I've heard.
It could do flash tourney setup. You're not sitting
Because
there.
most of the good
picking
race
one skill or
defenses
no
are
skill.
also faith. So you get rid of reincarnation, you also get rid of flash hole, dark hole.
Yep.
After
Yeah,
that,
vacuum
it's like
wall and
what,
laser shut the ray
eraser
shell.
and
Vacuum wall.
ray shell?
Vacuum wall.
Vacuum wall.
Oh, vacuum wall would be pretty rough in that scenario.
Well,
Absolutely.
Although you
I
can
mean-
break vacuum wall with a lot of things. Just not a lot of low cost things.
So I
true.
kind of like the thought of like, what if you could do like a weekly, every single week there's a different ban list of 3 skills, but you can't ban the same skill more than 1 week in a row. So
we can
let's say like we have 6 different weeks. Everybody votes on 3 skills to get banned. Whatever they are, great. The next week, those 3 skills are automatically going to be included. They can't be banned. They can be used whichever way they want, any way they want. But at least then it gives everyone more control to try and shift the meta a little bit and play around with things. And then it's not a whole tournament. It's only 1 week that people just can't use whatever this is.
Don't they do that in like League of Legends? Can't we do a ban list tourney?
That's what I'm
Each-
kind of
each
thinking. 'Cause, like
team puts up-
you ban like
Yeah, you
characters,
put
right?
5 skills or something, and then so one team says I ban this
Yeah.
skill, the other team says
I
I
think
ban
that
this
could be
skill.
its own separate tourney. I don't think I'd like to see it in this next tournament, which the vote seems to be for a two-team draft tournament. That hasn't changed in like 2 days now. So I say
Yeah.
a 2-team draft tournament. I don't know if we would want to do that in the next one, but the following tournament, like maybe if we did that 4-team draft one and then we introduced the banning element to it, I think that could be pretty sick. But
Yeah, I
think
agree.
what's
And
going to happen for the next one is a 2-team draft, and I think we should just run it back.
Yeah, I think most likely it's just going to get ran back, which is fine. Like I said, this has been the best that I've been a part of. I would definitely just run it back as well. But yeah, I think in the 4-team setup is where that whole idea would really shine. Then make it 4 skills. Every team gets to vote for one. They can't vote for the same one that they voted for last time. And if
Just
whatever it
alternate
was
between
last
Flash Hole
week,
and Dark Hole.
Nobody can vote for the same one that happened the week before as well.
See, I think you guys are worried that, if we go to 4 teams, everything will come off the rails. But if nothing came off the rails, how would anyone give up cocaine?
There's the Chewbacca defense.
Knew it was coming.
Did you? Really? Because I surprised myself with a...
I mean, I know what kind of quality lawyer you are. It was coming.
Hide your kids, hide your wife.
Definitely hide your kids from him.
Fair enough. That's going to sound real weird without context.
He's it's like Child Protective Services lawyer. Is that the correct terminology?
Yeah, close enough. But are any more? I think we're leave it up to the voters to decide the tourney, and I guess after that we'll see where the captains.
Yeah, I think probably the best idea would be just to throw up a poll on memory lapse. I think that if you start introducing other environmentals, it gets worse, but I really don't think memory lapse is that egregious. It's a terrible environmental to close out on compared to the other restrictive environmentals. I'd put it on a level with like Soul Cage, where you almost inhibit yourself as much as the other team. Like,
Yeah. I'm supportive of the process and review of certain skills and keeping the potential to ban them open, but I wouldn't want anything to just become permanently. I wouldn't want any permanent bans for like
agreed.
the next 5 tournaments until something gets people start questioning it again. Just off of something as fickle as a community poll, I definitely think that if we're going to look at the process of banning a skill or changing the official standard tournament rule set in terms of what players can and cannot do, we need to have trial periods and an overwhelming majority of players agreeing on the fact that change needs to happen. And I think we're currently too divided on memory lapse to even get to the point of potentially even like trying it out, trying a ban of it.
Yeah, we're at that state where we're not even willing to even attempt to try a ban. We're never ever going to get to a point where we're all going to, or even a majority are going to agree to full on like going forward ban something. Like I'm willing to try stuff for certain tournaments, but I know I would never be on board if we just said, "Yep, never use memory lapse ever again." That's just like a written into the rules. We just don't do it. We don't like it. Like that's not what the game is about. Like it's a card game. Like I can get it for certain tournaments or like once in a while, but just an overarching always no, we don't do that. That's not how this works.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
cards ever get banned in card games.
I hate you so much.
I think this is honestly the best part of this podcast is how much you two have grown to hate each other in the past 2 hours.
And I can't remember playing with Jester.
I honestly don't think we ever have.
All the
I mean,
time?
do you two even know that, some people has never been on at the same time to actually play each other in this game?
It's true. I have an early bedtime.
Because honestly, how many times have you played against me in the past?
Too many times.
I've played against everyone. I know all of you more than I would like. What's that Bilbo Baggins quote? I know half of you as well as I'd like to, and half of you something. I don't know how it goes, but yeah, that one.
No, we don't apparently know that quote.
Nobody knows that quote?
The whole
Yeah, I'm
conversation.
sorry, man. That's a little bit too much
Bilbo
talking for me.
Baggins. I know.
It
half-
rings a bell,
Yeah,
and it
in
makes me
his
sad that I'm not
birthday,
smart
he
enough
said
to
that.
remember.
I don't
I don't
remember
know
how
half
it's in
of-
English.
It's at his 111th birthday party. I don't know half of you half as well as I should like, and I like less than half of you half as well as you deserve.
I mean, that's a scathing
If you're
tongue twister,
confused-
but I like it.
If you're confused, I'll put it in the chat. It's from Lord of the Rings, the first book, at his birthday
I guess
party.
there's a ring of truth to it.
That's reaching. Come on. You're better than that.
Yeah.
I don't think I am better than that, but thanks, go. Thanks for believing in me.
I kind of just want to point out that the comment that Orange just made, that a lot of people really haven't played with each other, and I had a different idea of how this tournament was meant to work before we actually got it moving. Like the way that I initially took the suggestion was that it wasn't that only teammates could not pair up again with each other. I took it as that nobody could pair up again. So let's looking at this week, Kami and Math are versus PD and Evo. I took it as Kami no longer can play with Math or PD or Evo.
I think
Like, it
your
would be really
permutations
hard.
get nightmarish at that point.
Yeah, it would
Yeah.
get hard.
Definitely.
It's something we could track. Like, that's why I initially built the spreadsheet to do in the first place, and then I had to go the other way. So it's like it could be possible, but yeah, with the different time zones and connection issues, I know it's not a feasible thing. That's why I initially thought it was going to be, and I was a little bit more excited for that because then yeah, everybody would get to play with everybody. It would be really weird. You'd see really weird pairings all over the place. There'd only be a few that are the big top tier, top of the house where it's really brawling it out, which is good and bad. But yeah, I don't think it would work. That's why I thought it was initially. I just figured I'd bring it up because Orange kind of mentioned the fact that we just don't really get to play with a lot of other people. Like there's, I'd say at least half of Team Murder's team I probably never played with, or I haven't played with in a long time, and I've never even seen them in tournament play ever.
And I'm going to disagree and say that's why this tournament has done so well. And I think why we see drop-offs in Swiss is that there's been every week, both teams are actively trying to put together close matches. This format is you don't want to overpair and take an easy win because you're losing value, and you don't want to underpair and send somebody to a slaughter. You are trying to, pair teams in a way that you think your team has a slight edge. So these games have been usually pretty close, unless something goes crazy or wrong, or we're seeing that people are not the players we thought they were. But setting them up for parity, I think, is great. It promotes the longevity and retention of players. I do agree. I wish people got, to play with more people more often. But I think if you set it up that way, not just the difficulty, I mean, how often are people going to want to show up if it's very new players and they have to play a murder PD situation?
Don't get me wrong. I completely agree with you. Like I'm if I made it sound like I was on the other side, it's merely that I thought that's what it was going to initially be, and I was willing to see. Like, I think it would be fun, but yeah, there's no strategy involved in that. It's complete randomness after the first week or two, and then yeah, a lot of people aren't going to like that. That's the whole. No one's said it yet. No one's documented anything, but that's why we don't have a let's send people to the slaughter kind of setup in any of these weeks. Like there hasn't been any time that people have just gone out and said, "Here, we're going to throw our two absolute lowest tier people of what we've seen from their play against their two highest tier people." We're at least doing the good sportsmanship type thing and pairing up with what we think we best could counter with. It might not be perfect. We might be sending them into something that we know we probably are going to end up losing, but it's at least the closest match that we still have left to put into it, which I think is good. And like you said, it doesn't put somebody in a situation where we just keep sending our newest people into their top level people each time just to get rid of them and just give them the win that they were going to get anyways. I'm sure you disagree on that too. So
no,
argue
I
on
mean,
that.
I think that's fair. I actually was going to the benefit of the doubt.
Now kiss.
Compromise? Impossible.
Kiss. I ship it.
So weird. Can we both agree Bregan's weird?
Absolutely.
I think everyone can.
All right. That seems to have petered us off a bit. So I think that's a wrap on this podcast, at least for the recording. Thank you for everyone who has tuned in live and in the recording afterwards. Thank you to our participants, Schmidt, who has left us, Triple, Choices, Jester, Orange, and Alice. You've all been wonderful. Thank you so much.